Hi, I'm Emma McVeigh. This is my pre-flight weather briefing for my cross country. This is my route of flight. I always route out my flights in ForeFlight. That way I can gauge a visible route for me to look over, what kind of airspaces, specialties airspaces, what kind of obstacles may be in my way. It gives me an overall view of the weather, airports, all that good stuff. So I'm going to be going from West Memphis to Heber Springs to Pine Bluff on this flight. The forecasted weather for my takeoff airport, West Memphis Municipal, I have the METAR and the most recent TAF. The METAR shows that there is okay visibility. There's 6 statute miles, which is quite common. BR, baby rain, or fog. Clouds are scattered at 800 feet and overcasted at 1,000. So that's an extremely low ceiling. VFR pilots are usually going to start flying at altitudes about 2,500 or more, depending on what their VFR cruise altitude is for their east or west. As for the TAF, West Memphis doesn't produce their own TAF, so we use Memphis International. They are projecting that the weather is just going to continue to get worse. Light showery rains, baby rain, or fog, broken at 400 all the way to overcast at 200. And more cloud layers appear from then. The visibility still is supposed to be plus 6 statute miles or better than 6 statute miles. The wind starts to pick up a little bit, and it's overall kind of just showery and cloudy and not ideal for flying. As for Heber Springs sits right on a lake, so the wind coming off the water is always a factor that I have to factor in whenever I land at that airport. I know usually when I'm landing that there might be a little bit of breeze coming off the water from my left, so I usually always have that crosswind correction in just to be prepared for that. As for the METAR and TAF, Heber does not produce their own METARs and TAFs, so we have to use surrounding airports to kind of gauge what the weather there is going to be. Right now, it's showing winds are calm. There's just quarter statute miles of visibility, which is not good. It is broken below 100 feet, which is extremely low. We have low IFR weather conditions prevailing, so obviously that's not VFR. It's not going to be ideal landing situation unless you absolutely had to. The TAF that is produced right now shows a low IFR turning into an IFR and then marginal VFR as the time progresses. It's forecasting things like fog, light rain, vertical visibility very low, showery rain, just overall bad visibility and hazardous conditions. Pine Bluff does produce their own METARs and TAFs, so their METARs showing winds calm, 9 statute miles of visibility, few clouds at 4,500, and then your first ceiling kind of hits at 7,000 feet. The TAF for Pine Bluff shows that the weather starts to worsen as the day progresses. The wind starts to pick up. We get some more showery rain. There are thunderstorms in the vicinity, and we get some lower ceilings as well. So that is always a cause for concern. This is the prog chart that I screenshotted from Aviation Weather. This is an amazing tool that I can use to kind of gauge what kind of weather I can expect during my flight. It also allows you to track your flight path. So I put in my 3 points just so I could see exactly the weather that's going to be shown here. We're showing a stationary front, which just means that it's going to linger for a while. Stationary front just means that neither front is strong enough to bully, in a sense, the other one out of the way, so the conditions are going to persist for a while. It's just going to be cloudy, rainy. It's going to be stable air, so it's not going to be the worst flying conditions. However, we did see that thunderstorms are in the vicinity, so there is always a chance that the weather can turn convective in a matter of minutes, so it's cause for concern. So on whether or not I would take this trip, I obviously would not take this trip as a private pilot working on their instrument rating. I am not rated currently to fly in instrument conditions, so I would not be completing this flight. There are hazardous conditions forecasted, like low visibility, fog, thunderstorms in the vicinity. We know that convective activity can be dangerous for pilots, obviously. Lightning in planes, not going to mix very well. And they can lead to even more hazardous results. So thunderstorms can bring us wind shear. This kind of weather can also bring icing. I have a carbureted engine, so icing is extremely hazardous to me. Turbulence is not in itself that hazardous, but it does make for a pretty uncomfortable ride. And then convective activity, like I said, when I'm going through my PAVE checklist, which is one of the many things I do before I take a flight, I think about my experience as a pilot. I have no experience in low IFR, marginal VFR, or IFR conditions at all, so this is not a situation I would put myself in. And then the environment of each airport, it just shows that the weather is worsening, the visibility is worsening. The wind is not the biggest factor in each of these airports, but things like visibility and unpredictability when it comes to thunderstorms and hazardous weather. So that is a pretty quick overview of how I gauge the weather portion of a flight before I go out. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm excited to learn some tips and tricks from y'all as well. Thank you so much.